Welcome to Big Reveal, Big Picture, Big Insights, conversation number 2 with myself, Lee Houghton, and the uber talented Gary Nightingale, creative. How are you, Gary?
I'm good, thanks, Lee. You?
Yeah, very, very good. Thank you very much. I guess just before we get into it, um,
Yeah.
I guess what do you have any reflections from last week? Any thoughts from last week? Anything you thinking?
Um, just I thought it was a really interesting conversation, and a couple of new things came out of it through talking, which is always an advantage of doing this. I think a lot of our conversation has a very sort of specific purpose, and it was good for that to be sort of free flowing and um, the I think it was actually a good thing that we realised towards the end that we were only covering all the stuff that people want to lose because there was so much in it. And,
Yeah.
there are 6 themes plus one that we've identified. So and we went through each of those in turn. And we just thought, this needs more time than we can give it with this morning. So, which is why we're here now. So it was good to talk about all the stuff that people want to lose, all they want to leave behind, all the chaos, all the systemic problems. And today we're going to start leaving that behind and move into all the things that people want to keep, what they want to take with them. So,
We are absolutely, absolutely, and I think from my perspective, I think the way we had an hour talking about the stuff that people want to leave behind, but and the picture we shared the picture, and we spoke through the big picture, big insights document as well, and
yeah,
fundamentally, this is about creating conversations, and
that's what came out of it.
when we
Yeah.
go through this process, we ask some questions to create conversations to get people to share. Um, and and that's what it is all about. And when we talk about the wilderness, there's 4 C's that are on the on the wagon wheels, aren't there? And
Yeah.
and
Authentic. Yeah.
really, the better we are at building human relationships and connections, the better we are at as leaders, the better we are at high performing teams and stuff as well. And all human relationships, or the strong human relationships, start with by connecting over something. Maybe it's a purpose, maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's something that we find in common, and then we have conversations about this thing, and the trust builds, the relationships build, and then we collaborate um,
Mm.
on on overcoming some of the things or working together, and then we can celebrate and reflect, which is the 4 C's, and which this process, the big picture plan process, and this document and everything we're talking about it's a conversation starter. It gives everybody an ability to connect on something,
Yeah.
because we've got here 5,000 voices, 10 different organizations, but commonality in the challenges that they face, which I think is really important to share.
It is, yes. And those 4 C's, they are like quite deliberately in that order, aren't they? Because one leads into the other, you know. And it's like if you start with the last one and work back, like you can't celebrate if there hasn't been collaboration. You can't collaborate without conversation. You can't have a
Yes.
conversation without connection. So it all starts with that connection, which is, I suppose, is the root of everything we're doing here. Is that
Absolutely
connection,
is.
and I think the absence of that root is, from all that I read and hear and speak to people about, the absence of it is what causes those deficiencies in organizational change projects, and is where there's so much has been done, but there's just this, I don't know, kind of a blind spot about, actually just connecting with the people who are going to be most impacted by the changes. And these they're not things that are dependent on rapidly changing technology or the economy or anything else. Like humans connecting has been around for as long as humans have been around. And it's maybe some of those basic um, sort of values get lost.
Yeah, completely do. And we forget about the human relationship. Like we crave the silver bullet, the thing that is gonna fix our big challenge, our bit within organisations, and
Mm.
we expect people to just to problem solve or to introduce and deliver projects and programs and change initiatives, but they're jumping straight to the collaborate bit. But they don't make the space and the time to truly connect as humans, to converse about the things that matter and then collaborate. So exactly like you said, there is a reason why it's in that order. And a lot of organizations force collaboration on people, but they negate the connection and the conversation and the space to just develop and form human relationships, which is what we want to create through this process.
And and I think that makes me think of the sessions that you actually run with teams, and where I've sat in on some of them, that it is
Yeah.
that really becomes evident in the sort of practical real world application of it. You know that I'll be looking at a screen, and there'll be, you know, that however many people there are on this team that you're facilitating, and you can see that connection happening, and you can see from that the conversations taking place, and some of them that might be a bit edgy conversations, they might be a bit difficult conversations, or they might be really powerful conversations about stuff that people really like, and it's getting it all out in the open. And that's what I really like seeing. It's it just creates a really strong foundation for everything that follows. And those teams, you know, it might be, you might be working with one team of people, or it might be a larger team of people that's split into groups, and then we collate everything that they've said into one. Or in a really large organization, it might be a group of people that's been brought together just for this purpose, and they're representing their particular division every across the whole organization. So, you know, it's a big responsibility, and for to get those conversations and those connections right from the start creates a positive shockwave through the whole organization, I
Yeah.
think. And I just sit back and look at it all, and then I go away and draw it, you know, so, just to show people this is what you've just done.
Yeah, you make the connections and you then produce a single image that connects all of the dots and all of the conversations together to give people the basis for that collaboration. You've just said the word
Mm.
positive
Yeah,
there in what you said, and I think when we if you go through connect, converse, collaborate, and then celebrate in that order, then then it makes some ordinarily perceived words, negative words, like when you think about conflict, challenge, problems, and failure, typically we internalize those as negative words. But if you have the right level of connection with a team, and you have the right conversations and you make it professional and not personal, then you can talk about the failures, you can talk about the problems, you can talk about and you can mine for and create conflict in conversations because it's just difference of opinion. But you have to connect first on a human level and make it professional and not personal. And sometimes when you jump straight into collaboration, then it becomes really quite personal because it's us versus them. And that's why these four C's working in that order. That's why it's about human relationships. That's why it's about connecting. And like this change thing is spherical. We're here and we want to get to here and we can go this way, we can go this way, we can go this way.
yeah,
And what you beautifully do is articulate in a single image what it is like, what it looks like, feels and like, and sounds like where we are, and what it looks like, feels like, and sounds like in the on the place where we want to be. So it makes it
yeah,
real and gives people a basis for conversation to resonate and relate with where we are, where we want to get to, and then we collaborate on working together to get to that destination, which I think is really, really, really powerful. So, and this is how it all works together, isn't it? This whole process.
it is. Yes, yeah, and yeah, and I really I love talking about it as well because it's so open ended. The subject is limitless. You know, you're talking about humans interacting in organisations. That's just one conversation that could just go on forever. But we can't
Yeah.
do that now. So
Unfortunately
We got
not.
some stuff to
Unfortunately
show.
not. We do, and this process, we've compiled the 5,000 voices, 10 organisations into a single 50-page document, and also a single image as well that's complementary, and it is all about creating the words, the pictures, and the emotions, and bringing that together, because different people resonate and relate in different ways. Some people resonate with the words, some people resonate with pictures, but fundamentally this is about creating and making people feel something strong enough that they take action, moving forward. And that's the reason why we've wanted to create this, because we want to help people get better doing what they do and resonate and feel strongly enough to be able to take those steps. Shall we share the picture? Shall we share the insights document? Shall I share the QR code so that where people can get it for free? What should I do first, G?
Well, I think that you could put the QR code up just for a second and then put it up again at the end. And then perhaps if you share the document, because last week you were reading from it, but I think it would be good for people to actually see it. And then we could go
Yeah,
into the image.
no problem. So just bear with me a second. I will put the QR code over there. I will then hit the share button. So if you want access, free access to the big picture, big insights document and supporting picture that brings this all together, that articulates where we are, where we want to get to, and how we can transition from one place to the other, then all you have to do is scan the QR code, pop your details in, and then you'll get that sent to your inbox. It is absolutely free. It is the combination of 5,000 voices from 10 different organisations on the common themes that are helping and hindering organisations achieving the vision and the destination, which is
Yeah,
powerful stuff, G. Powerful stuff.
it is. Yeah,
Mm.
and I like the fact that
So,
it's all come from. It's not anything that we've just kind of read or seen or pulled out of thin air. You know, this is all input from real people in their jobs, in their careers, in organisations, and we've just taken it and turned it into something.
yeah, we've just been the conduit to collate the
Yeah,
voices to share with people, haven't we? Yeah,
yeah,
these are their voices, a combination of the voices that is and the key themes, the key challenges, the key things that are working well, and also how people want the end destination to be, in terms of what they want it to look like, feel like, sound like, and painting a picture of the destination, of the environments that they believe are the ones that are conducive to high performance and achievement of vision. Rightio. I'll take the QR code off.
yeah.
What are we sharing next, G?
I think the insights document, because for all the information that it includes, I think I really like the way it's presented, and
Okie doke.
so we say
No
so
problem.
ourselves. Um,
Yeah, big fans of our own work, G. Big fans
yeah,
of
yeah,
our own work. I will share that now so you can see that one. Window. There you go. So up on the screen now, you'll see hopefully should see the front page of the big picture, big insights document. It is 50 odd different pages, and let me just get to the screen, and then I'll start scrolling down it. So it's got high level introduction and overview. It's got a copy of the big picture in, but you also get an additional separate file with the big picture in. And then we've said there's 6 themes, but there's 6 themes plus one, because it's 5,000 voices. Often it's biased and skewed, and we spoke about this last week. Often leadership's view is missing, and so what we've done is we've also included, and it's included in the picture and in the insights document, a view of the common challenges, top 3 challenges from leadership's view, then the 6 critical themes in total. And I think I just want to stop on this page here,
yeah,
because our definition of culture is the sum of all of the habits, behaviors, and routines that exist within whatever it is, whether it's family, whether it's a team, whether it's an organization. And in this conversation today, and in the document and in the image, it's what we want to try to encourage is a change in thinking, new thoughts to drive and create new action. Our goal is to present, as it says here, a compelling narrative that challenges perspectives and inspires you to think differently about the way things are done and then do things differently to
Yeah,
achieve different results.
it is. Yeah.
Anything you
So,
want to say or share, G?
well, yeah, I think from what we've seen about the way people talk about their teams and their organisations, it's as much about mindsets and attitudes as it is about what people actually, well, what people do comes out of their
Yeah.
attitudes, their beliefs, and the old classics like we've always done it this way here, nothing's ever going to change, they're not listening, and those things they become such it. There must have been a time when they weren't there, but they were always. It's like they're always there, and this change is so hard because those things become so entrenched, and they just become like written in stone, and they don't have to be.
Right.
And so, encouraging conversations and encouraging people, challenging. Like I've heard the way you are in sessions. Sometimes you are challenging with people, which is what you want. You'll pick up on something that someone says, and repeat it back to them and ask them to explore it, and which is really powerful because that obviously people are there, they're open to that, having that done with them, and it works. I've seen attitudes change actually, like in front of my eyes, or at least be open to it, and just like, well, why is it like that? You can become you can become blind to the familiar, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, yes. Yeah, no, I love that. Love that a lot. And one thing or one way that we challenge organizations is I often say that there's the two most important metrics in any organization that are never measured are the number of thoughts or the number of new thoughts that we're creating in our people. And the second one, the lead time from that somebody having a thought to a conversation to an action. And and if we can create an environment where we are stimulating more thinking in people, which this process creates, but then also make the environment safe that when somebody has a thought, they share it, and then we can do something about it, then we can move forward. And that's real change because you're creating a safe environment because you've connected, and then you're talking about the key conversations, and then you can collaborate together and move forward. So it is about creating the right environment. It's about asking the right questions, but it's also about really helping people think with the questions you ask. But then the environment that you create is so important to moving
it,
forward.
it is because the people I follow we talk a lot about psychological safety, and having an environment where there's Amy Edmondson talks about intelligent failure, encouraging intelligent failure in order to innovate. Not stupid repetitive failure, but the and you need a really strong trusting environment for people to do that. Uh, those things are really important. I speak with coaches who will coach teams, and everyone in a room would be like sort of tight-lipped, and they won't say what they're thinking. And so they go away, and what they're thinking hasn't been challenged, hasn't been brought out in the open, it hasn't changed. So going back to what we were saying at the beginning about what positive and negative can mean, it's about the environment, not the conversation subject. Any subject of conversation can be seen as positive if it's done within that environment where you're okay to have that conversation.
Yes.
I worked in an organisation once where they used to call it a safe to say space. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It was kind of contrived, and it was probably early on in the days of people talking about this, but you know, it wasn't safe, and no one said.
No, no, you can't force it, can you?
No,
It's built. It's built with
it,
intent.
and
It
that's why
can't
we
be an
talk about
initiative.
culture. Yeah, that's why we talk. That's why the stuff is in the roots in the image, because it's under the ground. It's deep.
Yes, it is. It is. Yeah, it starts internal before it manifests itself externally, and it's about the collective view of everybody there. Yeah, powerful stuff. But that's why it's all about people, and that's why it's all founded in human relationships, the relationships with oneself, feeling the confidence and having the thoughts, but then also the relationships with each other, as well, in creating, co-creating the environment to be safe, to speak, and then to act, as
Yeah,
well.
because there's an article that I quote sometimes that was, I think it was in Forbes. It was about, it's called like, we need to focus more on the people stuff. And that when I go back to it, I sort of think like, well, in there's no such thing as an actual organisation. There's just people who make up the organisation. Really, you can't actually see or touch an organisation. It's a collective name for all the people who make it up. And like, there isn't anything about it that isn't people stuff. Any systems, any processes, any IT, digital infrastructure, business plans, whatever else it might be, is all people stuff. It's all about relationships, all of it.
Yes, absolutely is. Absolutely is. Right, shall we get into
Let's,
the good stuff, the stuff that needs to be kept in the wilderness,
yeah,
and see where we get through. Do you want to share the art?
I will do that.
And just while you're doing that, I'll just give a high level overview of the six themes. So we said there's six themes plus the leadership one. We spoke about the leadership one already, but then there's systems and processes that refers to the tools, the workflows, the structures that underpin operational efficiency. There's people and teams, which focus on the dynamics within and between the teams. There's leadership and strategy, but from the people perspective, and it examines the role of leadership in providing direction, alignment. So how does it feel for the people that are in the work? Then it's culture and morale is number 4, which encompasses the attitudes, the values, and overall spirit within the organisation. Then it's communication and collaboration, which covers the systems and practices for information sharing. And then it's work environment and resources, and it looks at the physical and the mental health aspects of the workplace, including the tools, facilities, and support systems that contribute to employee well-being. When we have combined all the 5,000 voices, these are the 6 key themes that have been identified. The left-hand side of this image that you can see here is the where are we now? How does it feel? How does it look? How does it sound in the organisation? We've got some of the key challenges that are faced. The hot air balloon part of it is all around the leadership view and the view from the top. The and I guess today it's all around the wilderness, and I guess, um, G, when we were designing and crafting this, and we came up with the circus and the fun fair to articulate the where are we now? You've gated that off, and you've got change models in the walls. What's your thinking?
Well, it was. Oh, and I know that for any kind of change, major change or structural changes, you need that model, you need the framework, and they're all good and they all have their place. But I wanted to show something about how they can be misused, or they can be in a way restricting. That the whole, what I wanted to show in this image was that you can't, it was almost like you can't save the circus. You can't do anything to fix what's happening there. There are potholes, the roots are rotten, that it's all collapsing. There's no change model that's going to make that better. And what that means is like old attitudes, old ways of working, old mindsets, that what needs to happen is moving away from it to something different and something new. So it's a paradigm shift of thinking and of vision. And I wanted to show that it's not the change models themselves that are at fault. It's perhaps the way that they're used, that they're kind of sort of forced onto existing situations and it doesn't work. And because the existing situation is, it's like you can't, it's hard to articulate. You can't make this better just by thinking about it and re it's got to be moved away from. So that was where I was coming from with those,
Yeah,
because it's that
absolutely.
thing
And
of
I think
you can't fix old problems with the same thinking that created them.
yes. Yeah, and how or why I believe this is really powerful is because to get to your destination, you need to move. You need to take
Yeah,
positive steps in a different direction. It can't be in on the same merry-go-round and stuff. It's about like stepping out, being brave, being vulnerable, opening those gates that we can see in front of us, and taking steps into the unknown. Taking steps into the unknown.
that yeah, and that's what I want to say. I know that there was someone mentioned he liked the fact that the wilderness was so kind of wide and vast, and because that is what it's like. And I suppose there's a fear of stepping into the wilderness. There's people often talk, like psychologists and therapists talk about the sort of balance of pain between staying where you are, you know, even though it's uncomfortable, it's familiar. There's a certain tipping point of enough, we're going through the gate, because anything on the other side of that gate has got to be better than this. And so that's why I had a gate there. So it's it's like a decision point. It's a definite action. Opening the gate and stepping out into the wilderness is a deliberate action that takes you into a completely, just with a few steps, takes you into a completely different environment where all the rules are different, and how you navigate is different, and it's all new. And that's where having a that's where the strength of the vision is really so important, where the leadership of going through this is so important, because it's it's difficult and confusing, and it can be bewildering. It's having that focus of where you're aiming for is really strong, to maintain the motivation to keep it up.
Yeah, absolutely,
That makes sense.
absolutely. I think, yeah, no, perfect sense, perfect sense. I think it's Bridges' transition model that talk about the like
Yeah,
ending the current, which is, and then it's about the I guess it's the neutral zone or the movement and the transition part of it to the new beginning, and that's articulated on this picture.
it's
We need
around
to
here somewhere.
end the current yeah yeah we need to end the current reality and we need to step through this gate, and then we need to then become and recognize the things that actually are already working. Like so, when we go through this process, it's about recognizing what's not working, but it's also about recognizing what is working. Things, everything is not broken. There are a lot of good things that do work and that people do like. It all doesn't need to have to change. So in terms of, shall I step through the six themes of what needs to be kept, or do you want to talk about it more generically?
No, I think that would be a good idea. Yeah, the
Yep,
because this was, as we've said before, this was I make these images for individual, for specific teams around their specific issues, and this is a composite of all of them. Basically, everyone we've worked with, it's all coming to this. So I think we said last week that there's not everyone will relate to everything, but there's something there for everyone. Every
yep,
organisation will find something in here that they can relate to.
yep, yeah,
So
and it
yeah, if
is
you want to
about.
go,
Oh, sorry, go on.
no, I was just to say, yeah, if you want to go through those themes the way that we did with the circus.
Yeah, perfect. So the first theme was all around systems and processes, moving from inefficiency to integration, and although a lot of systems get a lot of flack and a lot of challenge and are outdated and things, there are certain things. So while modernising systems is essential, not everything should be disregarded or discarded. Some existing tools and processes still provide value when maintained effectively. People told us that they like some of the trackers, some of the dashboards that offer real-time stuff and understanding the current situation and position is they do like some. that the tools to enable remote working, and it enables flexible collaboration like this, and teams and stuff like that, and stuff that reduces that meeting fatigue, and then structured planning and scheduling systems that provide clarity on workloads and clarity on priorities as well. So there are certain things within systems and processes that do work, that people do like, and they've enabled a better environment for some people. Like, I think it's today the 5-year anniversary of going into lockdown, when or it's around this point in time
It's
where
around now,
people
isn't it?
uh, yeah, where people went from working in offices to remote working, and that became the norm for a lot of people. And there's a lot of systems and processes that have enabled that as well. So yeah, there's a lot of things that that people do like in the context of systems and processes. Any
Mm.
of your favourite pictures from a systems and processes perspective on the, or things that you
Well,
want to call out?
I actually quite liked this idea of the tracking stones, because people liked tracking systems. I think one of the main issues, well, the main stuff that people wanted to change was sort of outdated stuff and duplication of data, but actually having more streamlined stuff that they were using. That's what they
Yeah.
said that they liked and they wanted to keep. So we had this idea of actually having tracking stones in this desert, this wilderness that people can can follow.
Yeah.
So, which is so I quite liked that, the idea that these stones, if they follow them, that actually leads them into where they want to get to.
Yeah, I love this, G. So let me just step out of this for a second, because
Yeah,
what you do so beautifully is, on a micro and a macro level, create metaphors and and things that you have to really understand and see, that actually paints a far deeper picture. And this is why it's really important that the people that we take through this um, build it together, feed yourself with the ideas and the thoughts, and it's a two-way conversation about it, so that they can then articulate it and narrate it in a way that's meaningful. So somebody just looking at this cold may miss the fact of these stones pointing the way. But this is the beauty of an image like this, that's co-created and collaborated to be built, because it's everybody understands the reason for such the subtleties in the image as well. Powerful, powerful. So people and teams. This for me, I think, is the loudest one on the
yeah,
kept thing. That so not everything needs to change. There are valuable aspects of team dynamics that should be nurtured. Strong team morale and camaraderie, where people feel connected and engaged. Flexibility in working arrangements, allowing employees to balance professional and personal responsibilities. Customer focused approach, where the team is united around delivering a great service and value, and supportive managers and colleagues, fostering a culture of trust and collaboration. And I think the direct management, um, like, so leaders, they do get a hard time
yeah,
throughout all of this, and it's generally down to a lack of connection, a lack of connection with the people, and a lack of understanding of the different perspectives and things. However, the direct line management of people at whatever layer of the organization, because they have connected and they do understand, then people do like that, and it's all about this strength of relationship. So for you, G, what do you want to focus on in terms of the picture for the people and team stuff, from disconnection to collaboration?
yeah. Let me just. Yeah, this was consistently the strongest message that came from people, was that uh, that really strong bond within teams, and also, like you've just mentioned, with the immediate management, immediate line management, um, that they that generally people felt the line managers, that our leaders here, the people looking after us, they're looking out for us. That was really strong, and the strong team morale was part of that. Was that it didn't come from outside the organisation, sort of extrinsic. It was intrinsic. It came from within the team. That there was that strong morale. Which includes openness, trust, and respect, and also that ties in with the, like I've got over on the left, the passion for quality delivery. So this is people who really believed in what they were doing, and we're talking about people in sort of infrastructure, public sector, construction, manufacturing, where people really believed in what they were doing, and it was important to them that customers get a good experience with them. So and that's a really, you know, a really strong team bond and a passion for quality customer delivery are really powerful assets to an organisation that need to be kind of nurtured and kept and carried on. There was, you've got this sort of cart here with a few coloured bags on it being pulled along, and that is knowledge sharing. So, which is, aside from one of the issues that people talk about working in silos, I think perhaps at a smaller level, that was seen as something that was generally positive, that people did and wanted to keep. So it
Yeah.
was, because I think one of the things that people wanted to lose was sometimes a lack of training. So there was this kind of almost compensating for it, knowledge sharing, supporting each other.
Yeah. I think one thing that's really important to get across here, although we've framed this as six key themes plus one for leadership, they are all absolutely connected. Um,
Yeah.
they are all this is a system, which is why it's on one big picture, because they are all intrinsically linked. They all they're not independent, they're interdependent.
Well,
Um,
I was just going to say that's true, because although we were talking about one particular theme, I've kind of strayed into talking about the others, because they're all. This is something that we've done, codified this into all these different themes, and they
yeah.
are distinct, but they are all connected.
And I think a lot of organisations as well, what they do, they treat them as um, independent rather than interdependent, and pick, I guess, demonstrating them in this way, talking about them in this way, I think hopefully gets across the point that actually everything is connected. All of these things are required to help you get to where it is that you're trying to get to. All we've done is give six themes, six headers, but fundamentally, it's all interdependent. They are all required to get to where you want to get to.
It is, and because you could look at a few examples of input feedback that people have given about where they are now, and you could say, well, like, that fits in culture and morale. It also fits in people and teams. But where is it strongest? Which one does it most align with? And that was kind of the criteria that we were using when we went through it. So, right, within culture and morale, there's a commitment to continuous learning, continuous improvement, which we've got here, which of course is also connected with people and teams. You know, it's connected with leadership and strategy. It's they all they dovetail into each other.
No, they absolutely do, and this is the purpose of what really what we've, or the power of what we've created, because it creates and gives a basis for conversation. And you'll see there the four C's are all of the wagon
Yeah,
wheels, because it's about um, recognizing that those four things will help you move across the wilderness to where you start by connecting, then you converse and collaborate, and then you'll celebrate. And you can celebrate the small things as we go as well. So I mean, the third theme was leadership and strategy, which we've touched on, and the things that we need to keep. Immediate managers who provide support and clarity, bridging gaps between frontline teams and senior leadership, alignment with organizational goals, ensuring that teams work towards a shared vision, and a commitment to continuous improvement where leaders actively seek feedback and adapt strategies accordingly. Those are the things from a leadership and strategy perspective that people wanted to keep, but they are all connected to other
Yeah,
things that we've spoken about as well. I think this is a mindset shift for people, and it's like sometimes, and I think the reason why people break things down, the reason why we've come up with 6 themes, is because it's easier to segment it, and you eat an elephant one bite at a time, or whatever. um, but it's about, I guess, compartmentalizing it, but doing it from a perspective of it is all connected, and you might not be able to do everything now, but you can do something now.
I exactly. I find the 6 themes plus one that we've arrived at, I find them really useful, and it's much better having it like that than if those themes weren't there. If you've just got one big mass of information.
Yeah,
However, those themes, like we've said, are to be worn loosely.
yeah,
They're here, here's a conversation that mostly fits with talking about culture and morale, but it's also a bit about leadership and strategy, and that just it certainly helps with the visual, because I have, there's a lot of thinking and writing goes on before I start drawing, and it's so I'll
yeah,
have a big sheet of paper like this one here that's blank, uh, and it'll
yeah.
just be scribbled all over, and having those themes helps me group things. They're not compartmentalized with heavy lines around them. They're just grouped and they bleed into each other, and which to me is kind of a organic systems thinking way of doing it, and the end results. Uh, I, you know, from what I've been told with work that's been done with people, that they get that and it works for them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and
um,
and it gives people the flexibility to narrate their own individual journey as well, and also organizational journey or team journey. It's flexible. Every image is flexible in its use and it'll work for an individual, it'll work for a team, it'll work for a function, it can work for a business as well, because different people resonate and relate to different things. Which
they,
is which is why it's this systemic view.
they, they do, and I've had the privilege of seeing that in action, where people have had presentations using these visuals as part of their meetings to talk about their progress, and to to see people kind of where these are on the wall and people are talking through where they are now,
Yeah.
what their progress is, what how they relate to different parts of the image. It's within a team. People would discuss it, and there'll be like one person appointed to talk for everyone. Um, it's just great to see it actually in action. That's what I just love the idea that there's this kind of art that isn't just on a wall. It's art with a specific job to do.
Yes, yeah, and it is, and it's a real powerful job as well, because it creates conversation, it prompts thought, and it also provides a map to help people understand what's required. Like lots of organizations have vision statements that stick on a wall, um, and they've got a lot of I guess communication challenges to make them vague, visionary statements relate to a meaningful contribution for when everybody comes into work on any given day. And what you can do with this image is you provide people with a better, deeper understanding of what their role is in achievement of that. How do they need to turn up, show up? What do they need to double down on? What kind of things do they need to focus on? How can they act and how can they support, irrelevant of the layer of the organisation that they find themselves in? It provides a more aligned, clear path for each person's contribution as well. So it works on so many different levels, and I think it talks to what we said before about words, pictures, and emotions. Typically, people focus on words, and what we're trying to do is, typically organisations focus on words only, and what we're trying to do is provide words, pictures, and emotions to tap into the motivation of everybody within that organisation. People protect what they build. They can build this. They build this with us, and then they can narrate it, and then they're on that journey as well.
It is, because when they come to it, oh, it's it's a it's like the promise of a blank page. You know, we're going to start talking, and we don't know what's going to fill this page. We It's almost like people don't quite know what's going to come out of them, but you have a knack for getting that out of them, I've seen. and
Oh, thank you.
and then what comes out, I draw it and
Yes.
and
Yeah,
show it back
and
to
you've
them.
absolutely got a knack for that.
And that and that it really does drive kind of deep. If people are thinking deeply about where they are and what they're doing, and they can understand it contextually within their organisation, within their team, then as that process is happening, that engagement is building up, that involvement, and those are the. It's that engagement where the real shortfall seems to be. Just
Yes. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
hopefully
And
we're
it is.
doing something to contribute to that.
Yeah, completely. And when we talk about engagement, it's about engaging the heads, the hearts, and the hands. And we're
Yeah,
engaging all three in this process. We engage the heads by asking them questions and getting them to articulate where they are. We're engaging the hands because they are co-creating this with us. And we're engaging the hearts because people protect what they build. We are building something with them that they're invested in as well. So they're engaged, the heads, hearts, and hands, which again makes achievement of vision easier because people are more engaged and understanding their contribution.
and I think that's something that we can, because I think again we're going to need more time to go into all the stuff that people want to have.
Yeah,
So that's because that engagement, the uh, the head, the hearts, the hands, that's within that where people are trying to get to, the all the have stuff. So, I mean,
yeah.
I can
I think
zoom out and just show that, and then perhaps we could just sort of introduce it now, and then talk about it in detail next time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So can I just rattle through the final three of the
Of
key things
course,
just
yeah,
from
yeah,
a narrative perspective, and then we'll absolutely do
yeah,
that. So
sure.
from culture and morale, what do we need to keep? So despite the challenges, there are cultural strengths that should be preserved and enhanced. So commitment to quality work, where employees take pride in delivering excellence, a culture of respect, fostering
Yeah,
professionalism and inclusivity, and continuous learning and improvement, encouraging employees to grow and develop their skills. Again, there's connection with that and in all of in the other themes as well. Anything from yourself on that one, G?
no, not so much there. I think we've talked about, because I sort
Mm.
of started to talk about these things when you were on the people and teams.
Yep,
I think we've
perfect.
already covered that.
We have so
But,
communication and
but
collaboration then. So from chaos to clarity, what do we need to keep? Some communication practices are already working well and should be maintained. Open communication channels such as chat tools and team check-ins that encourage real-time discussions. It's all about the conversation, informal connection opportunities, virtual coffee chats, casual team catch-ups that foster collaboration and relationship building. People enjoy, like, and would love to keep the opportunity to build relationships with people, which all comes down to the four C's and the human connection being first. Anything from you on that one, G?
just that comes to the knowledge sharing, which I mentioned before, but I'm just zooming in on it there.
Perfect. Perfect.
This was all about this is these are the things we want to keep, and it's covered that before, sort of talking about where sometimes there might be a lack of training within individuals. There is that
Yeah.
support, that knowledge sharing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then last, but by no means least, the sixth theme was work environment and resources, from strain to support. What do we need to keep? Well, some aspects of the work environment are already effective and should be preserved in some organisations. And people said to us that flexibility in work arrangements, allowing employees to balance the professional and personal responsibilities, and also helpful tools and trackers supporting task management and collaboration. So a lot of commonality,
Yeah,
a lot of things, and I think that the key thing for me here is that it is not all bad. It is not all broken. There are
no,
things that people like to and would love to keep, and you need to ask. And I'd encourage everybody to ask those questions as well, rather than just focusing on what's perceivedly broken.
there is, and that's. I mentioned just before we started that I was reading something recently that started with, on the cover, it was asking better questions leads to better answers.
Yeah,
I think this is about, which is connected with that, having that safe space enabled to be able to ask those questions, because there might be awkward questions, there might be difficult questions if the environment isn't right.
correct. Correct. And it is about asking better questions, and asking better questions of each other. And throughout the document, throughout the image, it gives you a basis for asking better questions to get better answers, to connect, to converse, to collaborate, and then ultimately celebrate and reflect the journey that you've been on. That concludes the 6 themes plus one on the things that you'd love to keep. Um, do you want to do the zooming out and talking about the just teasing the next conversation, G?
Yeah, let's do that. Because this, everything that people want to have, what they aspire to, where they're going, there's a lot to talk about in there, and I think that's going to session. So I'm going to zoom out and I'll just introduce it. So the contrast is, on the stuff that people wanted to lose, we had this old Victorian style circus. Then what people want to keep, what they want to take with them, is a kind of wilderness where the power as you get near. And we had the idea of this really modern looking uh, village. Uh, so it's very green, clean, ordered, neat. Um, it's it's busy but not cluttered,
Yeah.
well organised. So that was the idea that we had of that. And then the corresponding themes, each one has its own building, and then within each building there's activity going on that relates to all the various bits of input that go in towards that theme.
Yeah.
So,
And just
and
one
we'll
thing that
go
I think
through
we
them. We'll go through them in detail next time.
no, absolutely. One thing I just want to call out, EG, because it's the focus of the conversation so far, just in terms of I guess the systemic thinking, is
Yeah.
is on the left hand side in the circus and the fun fair, the buildings, the tents, they're not connected in the same way that they are on the right hand side.
No.
So there's a clear path and connection between each of the things on the right hand side in the future. But on the left hand side, it's a little bit more random. They're not obviously connected, and that's how people treat them, which I think is a key learning and thing to consider.
I didn't think a little bit. I see that there's an indication on the roads that there's that well, this uh, digital infrastructure that's kind of seamlessly connecting all these different themes, all these different elements. So it is
Yeah,
it's on the road. It's literally how the relationships are traveling. Um, so it's there to serve the people who are using it.
yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we've teased next week. We're going to have to do this again,
We
G.
have.
Um, we will set up big reveal, big picture, big insights part 3, and it'll be similar time next Friday, where we talk about the things that people, or the things that we need to have to allow us to achieve our business vision. As said by the 5,000 people, the 10 organisations, and that's been collated into a single image. Can I just share my screen with the QR code just before we go, G? Is that all right?
Yeah, sure. Let me just stop sharing them.
If I can find it, 1 second. Um, so let me just open this up. I guess in summary for you, G, what are you thinking there about, what your initial thoughts about today, and any key little nuggets? Because last week there was a couple of new little things that came out, weren't there, that we weren't expecting or planning to talk about, like making the people the star of the show and things like that. Is there anything
And
front of mind for you?
and also there was the creation of conversations, wasn't there? Um, I
Yes.
like. I think for today it's not a new thing, but I like the extra focus on those 4 C's, and the developing nature of them, and how that leads. You've got the celebration as the last one, and
Yeah.
on the wheel. How about
Absolutely,
you?
absolutely, and I think, well, yeah, I think that in addition to that, for me, it's been around the importance of I guess, the thinking of it like a system, and the lack of interconnectedness of a lot of initiatives and things. I think we spoke a little bit around this, and on how, even though we've chunked it down into themes, it's about how it all works together, and it allows everybody to move forward together, and just, yeah. So that for me, I think, is which we will talk about again next week, because it is all far more connected next week when we talk about the things that we need to have. But G, I just want to say thank you very much again for your time today, sir. Any
And thank
closing
you.
words?
No, no, just I hope people have enjoyed it and taken something from it. And because, yeah, well, I love talking about all this stuff.
Yeah,
So I hope people
no, that
enjoy
comes
listening to
across. Yeah, no, that comes across as well. Just your level of investment, engagement, and enjoyment from talking to you. It's been an absolute pleasure. If anybody wants to download Big Picture, Big Insight, scan the QR code that is on the screen now, and we look forward to chatting to you next week.
it. Right.
There we go, G. How do you feel?
Yeah,